Hello friends, I am Sukhdeep and this is my second video on Rust. And we already discussed how to set up our Rust environment so that we can work with our programs, compilation and other kind of settings. If you didn't see that video, then I will suggest you to first refer that video and set up your system so that you can follow along with me. And in that video, we also discussed a very small program because this video is not just writing a small program. We will also discuss what are the various constructs of a program, how to write a simple starting entering function for us, and what are the various ways to build, compile, and run your program. And then we will also see various other constructs which are very basic, of course, but they are very important. If you already know about Rust, then you can skip this video. But if you are very new, then I would suggest you to watch this video till end and also practice a little. Yeah. With that, let us start. Every Rust program starts with a main function. As you might have already guessed that this is a function name. Function fn specifies for function and main is the default entry point for any Rust program. You must have to define this, and main also accepts arguments, but we are leaving that for our later discussions. And these curly braces, these are the function block. Everything which you want this function to achieve, you define that inside this block. And println with exclamation mark, yes, please note down this exclamation mark. This specifies macro. A macro is like a function that writes code for you. All macros have exclamation mark at the end. We will learn more about macros in our coming sections or later videos or articles, but for now just remember that exclamation along with a function name, that is a macro. Also, as you must have noticed that we are not declaring any import statements or include statements as you do in Python, C++ or JavaScript. Rust also has import statements, something like import. We use that as use keyword. We will discuss that later, but as long as anything is part of Rust toolchain, you don't need to include that import statement or that particular library. So println is part of a Rust system, so you don't need to import or you don't need to use the statement. But if you are using some third-party libraries or crates in terms of Rust, then you need to import those particular statements or their libraries so that you can use them inside your function. So let us go and build this, how to do this in your console. To see how to build this program, let us first open our console. And here, first of all, to create any Rust program, you need to use cargo new. If you don't remember this, then please, I will refer you to my first video to know how to create your first project. So I am creating this project with the name of hello. It will create a directory here, and as you can see, this directory is created. Now let us move to this directory. And so there are two files, cargo.2ml, src directory. Again, if you don't know about this, then I will refer you to my first video. Let us open this in our VS Code, Visual Studio Code. I can also open it in Vim. From future, I will be using Vim, but for right now, I will be doing this with VS Code. So our program is open in VS Code. Here you can see cargo.2ml directory, cargo.2ml file, and here is the main file for main.rs. It already had this function defined by default and with println hello world function, println hello world statements. So nothing to do here. Let us go back to console, and to build it, there are two ways. First of all, we will rustc then src/main.rs. It will create a file that is with the name of main. So this is the executable. Now let us run it as simple binary executable you used to do it. This is the output. This is one of the way to compile and build your program with rustc. There is also another way, that is using cargo. Yes, the same cargo command which we use to create our new project. So I am not going into much detail about cargo, but I will give you a basic overview about cargo, how to use cargo to build your program, to manage your libraries. So Cargo is actually a Rust's build system and package manager as per the statement given by Cargo. It helps you to manage Rust projects because it makes a lot of tasks easier. For example, Cargo takes care of building your code, not just building your code, but also downloading the libraries which your code depends on, and also to build those libraries before linking them with your code. More on this we will be discussing later, but just for the time being, keep it in mind that Cargo is used to manage your dependencies, downloading the libraries, building the libraries for you to use along with your code. And along with that, you can also use Cargo to build your program and run your program. Now, when we are saying to use Cargo to build your program, then how to do this? Just enter this cargo build command and it will build your program. So as you can see, this program is built, and by default this program is built for debug mode. All of your program are built under target directory, and in target directory you will see a debug directory, because by default Cargo builds your program in debug mode. And here you can see that all of your dependencies and everything is built here, and this is the main program which you can directly use to run. So first let us try this target and then debug and then this hello. Again, this is the same statement as we were seeing earlier, hello world, and this is if you use rustc to build your program, again the same. Yeah, of course, program is same, so there should not be any differences, but there are two different ways to build your program. Apart from this, by default, Cargo build your program for debug mode, but if you want to build your program for release mode, then there is another command. It is not another command, just a different option you need to specify while building your program. So now it will be building your program under the same target, but not under debug. Now it's release. And here everything is same. Hello, hello Dodi, build dependencies, everything. Now you must be surprised. Then what is the difference between debug and release? Of course, many of you know about what is the difference between debug and release. But if this is something new to anyone or this is an alien term to anyone, then debug we use mostly for development purpose, because build is very fast but it's not optimized. So it is not advised to use your debug builds in your production mode because it is not optimized. A lot of symbols are there. If you want to release your program for release mode, then use cargo build minus release. This is optimized, but this is not fast. So that's why if you are into development mode, use debug mode because it is faster and you don't care about optimization. But when you want to release it in production mode, then you care about optimization. And then at that time, you will use release mode. Cargo build hyphen release or minus release, whatever way you are happy with. As you have seen that we are using two different commands to build, means like cargo build and then running that command manually or executable manually. We can combine or we can club these both in a single command, that is cargo run. It will build your program, it will also run. So here these two statements are specifying that it's building and then it's running, and this is the output of your program. Go back to our presentation. We already discussed all of these things, that fn means function, main is the function entry point, and then you can also specify arguments, and curly braces are code block which specifies what to do or what to achieve from this function. Then we also discussed about macro, especially println macro, and now we also already discussed how to compile and run your program. Cargo overview, we already discussed that it's a build system and package manager, and then we also discussed about various of these things. So now this is our another part, comments. Of course, for me and for anyone, if you want your key code to be readable, then you add comments. But if you believe in clean coding terms, you should minimize your uses of comments as much as you can. Now, we are not going into detail of what is clean coding and how to do this and how to do what. We are just here to discuss how to define comments or how to declare comments in your Rust program. There are three ways to declare any comments. First is line comment. If you are from C or C++ background, then you must be aware of these line comments. The double slash and any statement after that, that is a comment. Means any statement that is declared after this double slash, that is ignored by compiler. So you can use this to specify what you want to achieve from a function, or what this particular variable is supposed to do, or what your program is trying to achieve. Line comments are just for single line. But if you need to define a comment or a statement that is scattered or that is split on multiple statements, like this is a statement which I split it on multiple lines, you can use here block comment. So block comment, they are actually defined within these two delimiters. Anything which is defined inside these delimiters, that is again ignored by the compiler. This is just for your readability or just for specification of that particular statement or expression. There is also one thing more. Then that block commands, they can also exist within a statement or expression. Compiler just ignore anything which is defined between these two delimiters. So if you want to just comment out something for a particular reason, then you can use block command. Then apart from these, there is another kind of command that is known as doc commands, and this is useful to generate documentation for your program. And now there are again two ways to define your document comments. One is using 3 slashes. Anything which is defined or which is written after these three statements, that will be used as part of documentation. But there is also another statement that is again part of documentation library, that is 2 double slashes along with exclamation mark. This is actually used to define, you can say, at the very top what your library is supposed to achieve. So you can say this is the root of your documentation. This is the main statement about your library, what your library or what your file is trying to achieve. So it is not enclosed with along with any kind of functions. Yeah, so from this this thing came to my mind, that these things always are linked with the next statement or next function. But these things are not related to any functions, so they are just specifying at the root level what this function is what this library is trying to achieve, and these are linked with a particular function and statement which is just defined next after to these commands. If you want to generate documentation for your code, then you use cargo doc command. It will generate documentation for your library, for your program or project, whatever you want to do. Now let us go back to our presentation. We already discussed how to write a simple program. Just I am trying to make it a little different from a simple program. We are now specifying what kind of argument we want to pass to this message. Earlier, that was a very simple statement that you wanted to write hello world. But if you want to pass any argument like hello John, or tomorrow is like this, 12. So you can also do this. Here you are specifying your first statement is a string, but this is a placeholder where you want to pass or you want to substitute your placeholder with the actual value. So when this program will be run or built, compiler will replace this placeholder with the actual value which is supplied after this comma. So it is not just like you can define only one placeholder, you can define multiple placeholder. To understand it more, let us go back to our console, and now let us open our main.rsl file. Here I will be specifying hello and this placeholder, and here, so now it should print hello John. Let us see if it is doing this. Cargo run, yeah, hello John. It's not just about passing any string. Let us see how can I pass multiple arguments along with multiple type of parameters. Hello John. Here I will say tomorrow is 12, and this is the argument. So it should print me hello John, tomorrow is 12th. I am passing multiple placeholders here. First will be replaced by first argument, second will be replaced by second argument. You can also do it reverse. If you want this to be replaced by second argument and second placeholder with the first argument, then you can also do, but that will be part of our next discussion. If you want to see how to do it, then just watch my next video. Now build and run this program. See, hello John, tomorrow is 12. This way we can see how to pass multiple arguments outside from the statement. Yeah, So this is the time to summarize our activities which we discussed today. First, writing our first program. We discussed what are the various basic constructs, how to define a function, what is the main entry function, what are macros, how to use macro, println statement, all of these things. Then we also discussed on various type of commands like line commands, block commands, document commands, when are they useful, how to generate documentation, and then so with this, our today's discussion is completed. I hope this tutorial was able to help you get started with Rust. I would not ask you to like or subscribe, but of course, I would ask you to leave your comments what part you like and where you want it to be improved, what all you want to be discussed. See you in my next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, and yeah, of course, don't forget to practice at your own end.